Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at Shank 2. So I covered Shank 1 a while ago, and it is probably well past the point where I tried to cover more sequels to games that I've played in the past. And I definitely was looking for a game with more action, and I don't think you can get more action-oriented than Shank, really. This is a 2012 game from Clay Entertainment. It's always a little odd when they don't update their copyright at any point, but whatever. I think I saw EA mentioned also in this game as maybe they were the original publishers, but on Steam, Clay Entertainment is their own publishers. Let's go to the settings and just move the mouse cursor out. Let's see. One of the things that was very noticeable is that the audio was very loud at 6 to start with, and now I'm potentially turning the audio in-game up to balance out what the audio was on the menu. Alright, blur. I guess we probably keep the blur on, whatever the blur is, just to be YouTube family friendly. Displacement, I have no idea what that is. Bloom, I know what that is, probably leave it at that. Let's see. Apply, and then close. I'm going to be playing with the controller, which is not showing any overlays for that. And if there is a how to play here, that does imply that there is maybe going to be a little less tutorial. Seems like we could play this game co-op. Of course I won't. This will be a single player experience for me, as I cover all games that way. But it does also seem like you're going to have the options of picking maybe different characters to play through, maybe quite a few different characters, instead of just playing as Shank. And it's been so long, it's kind of hard to remember what the exact story was, but I feel like it was fairly simplistic in that you had this Central American, I assume Mexican character, and his wife, maybe kids, also were killed or kidnapped, and then you go on this rampage killing a bunch of drug lords and gangsters, basically, that betrayed him. He may very well have been in the gang originally and tried to get out of it. It's definitely just an excuse for a highly cinematic action experience. It does kind of feel like some of these modes may be new, like survival mode probably didn't exist. Medals apparently are just achievements, and so as it is, it does seem like it is just going to pop up these Steam achievements, even though there is an internal system, which I've never seen that happen before, really. That seems oddly poorly programmed. Rebel Intel, I assume, is going to be some form of custom art, like unlockable art. Leaderboards and player stats. Probably just what you would expect there. Alright, so the first question to ask is, do I want to play on normal or hard? For me, I want to play on normal. I have a little bit of arthritis in my fingers, and already this is a game that risks being a button masher and finger cramper. Something that would cramp my fingers, just playing on normal. There definitely was, in the Xbox 360 era, a collection of games that were kind of heavy on button mashing quite a bit, where it got fairly crazy, and seems like it would be nice if some of those, I'm glad they didn't go down that path further and make more games that were just button mashers. Nowadays it kind of went through button mashers to quick time events to now more considered actions where you will press buttons but you're not smashing the button 5 times in a second, except for in a fighting game. That's still an option. Well, you really have no choice to start off with. We'll be playing with machetes as the heavy weapon, and I assume you'll probably pick up other heavy weapons after either boss fights or just big enemy fights. Throwing knives as far as your light weapons, and then mines or molotovs or grenades. And they all have statistics on them that seem to be probably too much for what this game should be. Like the idea that you would have to actually think about a damage percentage or a splash damage or a tactics percentage in this game seems a little crazy. Alright, as far as outfits, we have a whole bunch of other lock stuff. And I don't think any of this is behind like DLC or anything like that. I imagine this is just around that. And then corneas, we're getting some hints here. I may need to turn the audio back up. The menu music may have been too loud and nothing else. No subtitles.
This is all I have.
I question if this is quite the animation style of the first game, but I'm not sure it really matters. But clearly this is a story about being gory. Alright. So options, settings. Was there anything here that said anything about subtitles? No, it seems like there's just no subtitles at all, which is funny because almost certainly in every other game I've seen from the past 3 decades there have been subtitles. Alright, let's see how the audio sounds here. So, it's a combo beat 'em up game, side-scrolling game. We can jump, we can run along the wall to get some area. But yeah, the audio is just oddly too quiet, so let's use my external software to just get it up to a much more reasonable amount, because you're going to want that ambient noise. That should be probably good enough there.
There he is.
Left and X to launch into the area, so then you could get a juggle. There were beat 'em up games like this in the past, certainly arcade games. It doesn't seem like, though, you really would have a great way to get a juggle to pay off. And it doesn't feel like the explosion of the cars actually benefits you much. Because, like, jumping up and hitting X doesn't lock you floating in the air where a juggle would help, nor do you have a hit. This feels quite more like Contra than the first Shank, which in all fairness, I imagine what happened at the end of playing Shank 1 would have been I would have probably had a decent fill of brutal button mashing and combos and just mindless violence and such, so I imagine you would just be fairly satisfied with your first experience and you'd want something somewhat different now. This Magnus, the president with the heart, he may be the big bad guy. There I just drank alcohol as a health recover, but I don't think I've actually taken any damage. Press Y to use machete, heavy weapons effective against shields. So the explosion does seem to the explosions do seem to hurt other people. And your heavy weapons are used to destroy the shields, so then you can attack with regular weapons. What is the button though to pick something up? It says use, use, use. The D-pad doesn't do anything. The right stick doesn't do anything. So it was the right bump, which that replaces the machete, and now I have a bat as a weapon, and now I have taken some damage. Outskirts of town, militia. Press B to throw knives, hold B and release for a charged throw. The throw knives are just a forward action. Alright. I guess we had already used right bump. That skull is not something you break. Left bump throws Molotovs, and that was 2 of them. Left trigger sends you up into dash. Right trigger is a dash. Left trigger is a slow-mo thing. We have an explosion here. And throwing knives, you have an infinite amount of those. But that doesn't help you. Oh, so it is literally just press A to jump across there. Just walk towards the area. Okay. And you can't really look down, so so the experiment there was to figure out if that was going to do anything. So, yeah. It's not fully explaining things quite well. Right trigger to counter an enemy. Look for the symbol. That's quite the counter. There you have another counter. There we have another counter. Which that makes the game super easy at that point, because then you're not even really button mashing. Now, Shank 2 shows off a female character also, so there's a question about potentially a romantic interest, or female character of major importance, instead of just being perhaps a second player character that doesn't really matter. A lot of these old games work themselves in such a way that the second player character was pretty much just a clone of the of the first player character. And since this is a game that I don't have any more to throw, this is a game that is going to be heavily around violence. Sorry, I'm getting distracted as I'm trying to play. There, I countered too early. Again, countered too early, but it kind of doesn't matter if you counter too early. But yeah, since there's just kind of heavy amount of violence in this game, I wonder if this game would be willing to go in the more mature nudity angle also. Probably not to any real extreme. It does oddly seem like we are moving fairly quickly through the whole game though.
Who is this guy?
Let's see. These guys aren't even on the screen. And you can't counter a shield attack apparently. This pipe probably has longer reach. You could probably program a game like this fairly nicely. Just right bit on the switch to drop the hoisted jeep. Almost died there, but I managed to succeed. So it does seem like I'm just freeing people, maybe people I don't even know. Yeah, what I was going to say is it does seem like you could probably program a game like this where just pressing X once or twice would start a whole cycle of multiple attacks. Like it happens in some fighting games where XXX may turn into 5 or 6 attacks.
Thank you. You may need this.
Definitely not getting into any real deep level of storyline here, but that's fine. That's not what this game was promising. So there's our chainsaw.
Hey, did you hear about the guy who took out Cesar? Mess.
Let's see.
He was here.
There is definitely a danger here in that if you don't keep momentum, you will die when your life is this low. Although it just kind of seems like it's going to jump you back into the game, and your health seems to be fairly quickly filled. We see that there's some boxes you can break, but so far I haven't seen any items in the boxes. And I haven't seen any refills on the Molotovs. Use the right stick to dodge the enemy's attack. Yeah, it does just kind of seem like you're gonna try again. Roll over here. And then jump. And throw. So we'll just feed blood to the machine. Of course, I can't pick up any of the items now that fell down there. Looks like there's a pickaxe weapon. The swinging does not really feel particularly good there. As far as you don't have a left and right. It seems like the chainsaw is fairly slow, but kind of deadly. It wants me to pick up these weapons, and oddly it seems like it's saying I can pick them up by pressing Y and B, but that doesn't seem right. It seems more like the right bump does that. And it does seem like the picked up items, weapons, are in addition to the chainsaw, because the chainsaw is just not missing. I'd say at this point the music is getting fairly annoying, so I may very well want to just turn it down. Right bump to pick up more grenades, left bump to throw. Getting more bio, but yeah, you can't even check the bio stuff out of this menu, so that's not going to be that helpful. Maybe Razor here is the boss for this level, and we just fought a sub-boss before. And you definitely don't want to get grabbed. Notice that we have a lot of damage that we've taken. This is, I think, very much a case where you've got to run and keep moving. And I vaguely recall that this was kind of the experience in Shank 1, that even playing on normal, there was just a certain level of extreme difficulty when you get to the boss. Which, yeah. I was far too premature to be drinking the drink. I'm thinking when he yells at you, that is probably the time you want to throw a grenade in his mouth, and that might do a decent amount of damage, assuming you can hit him when he yells at you. He may only yell at you as an animation after you he's saying grab. So there is just like a whole special there's a whole special action that occurs. And see, I could potentially try and pounce him or something like that, but I don't know if that's the right move in this fight. Yep. He's doing a whole new pattern. But that is a problem certainly fighting any enemy, is that you may run into a new pattern. Like, so you may get 90% of the way there, and then all of a sudden the character may start doing a whole new attack you haven't even seen before because of the pattern changes. He's fairly quick to jump to the animated sections here. In a lot of ways, I feel like Shank very easily could have been a Adult Swim cartoon limited series. I don't think it could go on forever.
Come on, man. Let's get the hell out of here.
But you could take the animations here and the general concept.
That's crazy stuff you pulled there. Are you part of the rebellion?
What rebellion?
The rebellion against Magnus's new army. The new army was supposed to eliminate cartels, but they just seem to be taking over where the cartels left off. Drug smuggling, kidnapping, and now murder.
So the cartels were eliminated. Maybe they were the cartels, I assume, that Shank fought in the first game.
And crush this plague upon our
And they've just
land.
been replaced with a corrupt army. He definitely doesn't feel like
no use. You
he's going to
only
be a
have
final
a
boss.
few months, General.
I have an idea.
So amongst dying twice, that took 18 minutes technically, but not realistically. And you get a bunch of points, losing 2,000 of those points to dying twice, or dying 4 times. I thought I only died twice. You can see that there's a pretty long list of medals that we made some progress on. And then there's a leaderboard, which that leaderboard score doesn't really tell you if I'm in position 10,000 or position 1,000. I doubt I'm very high up on the leaderboards. Let's see. What did we unlock? We now could play with the chainsaw. We didn't unlock a new weapon here, so we're still stuck with the throwing knives. And these were all unlocked by default. Which grenades potentially are better than Molotovs. But you might want to lean towards mines. Let's go back to the main menu though. It doesn't feel like there's too much of a game here. Did I just start the whole game over? No. Good. Thank goodness for that. That would be annoying. The dark road home. Through the fire. Dirty docks, lost in ruins, rumble in the jungle, human cargo, last resort, and deconstruction. So, doesn't seem like there's much of a game in this, really. And obviously on the leaderboards, there's people that are straight up cheating, because there's no way you're going to have a score that is 10 times higher than the third place score. And even the third place score has a high chance of cheating. Yeah. In most of these scoreboards, you have to eliminate somewhere around the top 10 to the top 100 as far as potential cheaters. And this leaderboard only goes to the top 100. Unless you filter to your score, which we can see I'm in the 20,000th position, which is somewhat believable and reasonable. Let's see. Apparently there's an intro mode for survival mode. But survival mode seems to be kind of a single player thing. So, yeah, you can't really play it, I bet, unless you have a second player. No, I guess you can play survival mode as a single player, so we'll
get ready.
Alright, so it definitely feels like this is a emphasis on this at the expense of perhaps a longer story mode. Normally in games, I would say if...
Alright, well done.
Let's see, we can shop, but we apparently don't have anything we can purchase.
Alright, here they come again.
So I imagine survival mode centers around doing cool combo kills and something like that.
Good work.
To get more gold.
Watch your back. Here they come.
Come on. And then somebody in the foreground is doing something crazy.
Watch out. You planted a bomb.
Cover me.
Just planted a bomb.
Okay. So I don't think you can survive here and play survival mode in single player mode. I bet the bomb blows up
They just planted a bomb.
no matter what.
Cover me.
So you'd have to be a particularly good player, and even at that, I suspect you're not going to succeed very well with these bomber characters. You're going to have to stop them from planting the bomb first before anything else. It might also be a case where it is
Good communication.
really more of a situation where you
Alright, they're here again.
could avoid the bomb planters by just attacking them faster.
Someone just on that bomb.
But yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like
Help me.
you can do too much here. You're either gonna die or the bomb is gonna explode. And it's a survival game, so you're gonna just get to that point. This also tells me that the achievements are going to be based around playing survival mode, so things like beating 15 consecutive rounds are pretty much out the window. This is really dumb that when you come to the menu and see this. Okay, so stay alive in the top right there for 15 consecutive survival waves. We went through 3. Highly unlikely you're going to do that in single player mode, which means you're not going to get all the achievements playing on Steam. If you don't get all the achievements, you're not highlighted as having gotten all the achievements, so Steam doesn't really care if you partially accomplish some of the achievements in games, which makes achievements mostly worthless in most of the cases on Steam. They don't really do anything anyways. They don't give you an overall gamer score so much. So going after any of these medals is kind of pointless. As far as Rebel Intel, you've got a little bit of art here, a little bit of backstory, which if you were going to make a limited series Adult Swim type show, although at this point it probably would be like on Netflix or something instead of Adult Swim, you would take this backstory and have this character be the main bad guy you're chasing after for an episode or two. This was definitely the bad guy at the end of the first game, so I remember that. I apparently missed some background collectible somewhere. This guy's a rebel, so we're helping the rebels. Or at least we probably will. But you can also tell if 4 out of these 6, 12, 18, 24 pieces of information were collectible, then there's 6 levels in total at most. Stats will go up and up. But yeah, overall this seems like this is going to be a very short experience. I have no idea what the blur is for. Maybe at one point we will see some small joke nudity, but that would be about all I could think. We are pretty much tutorialized for all of these actions, and you can see there aren't that many actions. The blur may very well just be in this section when you do the pounce. That may be what you're turning off with the blur. And looking at the survival mode, and you have this Karina character, and I imagine she will play some role in the main story, but that's about it. I expect. I doubt that there just is not enough time, looking at the number of levels there are, for there to be a deep story or narrative, which a game called Shank shouldn't have a deep story and narrative. This is just about smashing the buttons and beating up on people. And yeah, that's what this series is going to be about. We probably will spend less than 3 hours at this rate with the entire game, which in retrospect, if this was a $5 game and you're getting 2.5 hours to 3 hours of experience out of it, mostly because the survival mode is unlikely to have anybody online that would be willing to play with you, and because there's just not that much story, that's going to be somewhat irritating. Perhaps there is a system here where you get different endings for each of the characters that you can play as in the campaign mode. Even if that is the case, that's going to be a lot of repetition, certainly, and I don't think it would really be worth it to do that. These are very much appetizer type experiences, because the button mashing and the gore, it's funny for a while, but it loses its appeal after a while. It gets, you get numb to it, certainly. Alright, well, these are probably going to be 30-minute episodes going forward, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and give me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.